Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Felicia Dunn. I am the Assistant Director in the Stern Graduate Financial Aid Office, and I am joined here today with my colleague, Corey.
Hi, my name is Corey Gross. I'm the administrative aide for the Stern Graduate Financial Aid Office. I sort of act as the first point of contact for the main line for our email. So you may have spoken with me already. Our office works closely with the EMBA admissions team, the NYU Bursar, and the Stern Registrar's Office, as well as the Central University Office of Financial Aid.
Great. So today we're going to walk through the basics of financial aid at Stern. About an hour ago, Corey emailed everyone a copy of today's slides, as well as a handout of notes that we put together that actually correspond with those slides. So that should make it a bit easier for everyone to just follow along without having to write down everything we're saying. But if questions do arise, please feel free to enter them in the chat box. If we know that we'll be addressing your question in a later section, we'll just skip it and get back to it later in the workshop. So today we'll spend about 30 minutes reviewing the various forms of financial aid that are available to MBA students at Stern. We'll talk about both federal and private student loans in depth, and then later we'll review other forms of financial aid, including scholarships and how company sponsorship and company reimbursement work at Stern. Once again, please feel free to ask any questions along the way in the chat box.
Great. So the cost of the executive MBA program is $204,000. This cost includes all fees, books, study materials, meals and class days, teaching assistants for selected courses and residencies. However, travel costs to and from the global study tours are not included. As you may already know, the $5,000 non-refundable tuition deposit is due immediately upon acceptance, but the remaining balance is divided into 4 equal semi-annual payments, which are due on December 1st and July 1st of each year in the program. This means that you have 4 payment deadlines in total, 2 payment deadlines in your first year and 2 deadlines in your second year. For students borrowing loans, our office sets up loans to correspond with these deadlines. For example, we'll set up spring 21 loans to cover your December 1st payment deadline and summer 21 loans to cover your July 1st payment deadline. I'm going to turn it back to Felicia now, who will discuss student loans in depth.
So our first topic today is federal student loans, which are available to all US citizens and permanent residents. This may be a review for many of you, but in case anyone in attendance has never filed, here's what you need to know. You'll need to log into studentaid.gov, which is the link that you see on the screen, in order to complete your 2021 FAFSA. This FAFSA will be used for your spring 21 and summer 21 semester payment deadlines. Many students are able to use the data retrieval tool to pull in their tax information from the IRS, but in case that tool does not work for you for some reason, you'll need to gather your tax returns as well as W-2 forms from 2018 in order to complete the application. Make sure to include NYU's federal school code, which is 002785 when submitting the application. If you've already filed your 2021 FAFSA, you should have received an email from the Financial Aid Office last week letting you know that you've been packaged with your Spring 21 loans and what your next steps are in order to accept and secure your loan disbursement. You are automatically packaged with loans to cover the tuition costs for your Spring 21 semester, which again is $49,750. Please keep in mind that that $49,750 does not include that initial $5,000 deposit that you made in the beginning. For those of you who have not yet completed your 2021 FAFSA, I urge you to do so at your earliest convenience so that your loans may disperse on time. Please keep in mind that once your FAFSA is successfully submitted, it'll take about 3 to 5 business days for us to receive it in our inbox. Once received, you'll then be packaged in the next few business days following. You'll all need to complete the 21-22 FAFSA for your second year if you are interested in receiving federal student loans, and that FAFSA became available on October 1st. We'll now review the different types of loans.
So student loans fall into 2 different categories: federal direct loans and private loans. The U.S. Department of Education is responsible for the lending of federal direct loans. As a Stern graduate student, the direct loans offered to you are the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan and the Federal Direct Graduate Plus Loan. So the unsubsidized loan is the lower interest rate and lower fee loan. Students are eligible for $10,250 per semester. The current interest rate for this loan is 4.3%, and it has an origination fee of 1.057%. The origination fee is a portion of the loan that is taken before the loan is dispersed to NYU. For example, if you have an unsubsidized loan in the amount of $10,250, only $10,142 will disperse into your student account. However, you will be responsible to pay back the full $10,250 when you enter repayment. The unsubsidized loan is a guaranteed loan that the government will give you regardless of your credit. However, it will accrue interest while you're in school. You will have a 6-month grace period before entering into repayment, which will not begin as long as you're registered for at least 4.5 credits per semester. The other loan, the Graduate Plus loan, has an interest rate of 5.3% and an origination fee of 4.228%. Like the unsubsidized loan, it will accrue interest while you're in school, and both these loans will start accruing interest immediately upon disbursement. Another difference between the Graduate Plus loan and the unsubsidized loan is that the Grad Plus loan is contingent upon a credit check. So once you are granted the loan in NYU Albert and you'll accept it, which we'll go over a little bit later, a credit check will run. This is a very light credit check. It's a soft credit pull, but we just want to make sure that you are aware of that. And we want to stress that there is no need-based aid offered to graduate students by the Department of Education. So these loans are, fixed interest rates across the board. Every student is offered them, and your, need does not vary, will not change the loans you are offered. We also want to point out that there are no prepayment penalties associated with the federal loans.
So we're now going to touch on the difference between federal and private loans. So now we know that the Department of Education offers student loans through the FAFSA, but there are also private lenders who offer loans and other forms of financial assistance for education. Private student loans are non-federal loans offered by lenders such as banks, credit unions, or state agencies. They have variable or fixed interest rates, but it's based on the student applicant's credit score. Our website has a private loan section with a helpful list of things to consider when choosing a private loan lender. For example, from the list of things to consider, an example from the list of things to consider is that private loans often do not offer the opportunities for cancellation or loan forgiveness that are available on many federal loan programs. Our site also includes loan application tips, such as keeping in mind that if you're offered federal loans but decide to go with private loans, you'll need to first decline the federal loans in Albert so that there's room in your budget for us to certify that private loan. Another tip to keep in mind is that all private loan inquiries that occur within a 14-day window only impact your credit score as a single credit application. So if you are interested in a private loan, try to limit your loan shopping to a 2-week window if possible. Keep in mind that private loans are available to both domestic and international students. I also want to mention that on our website, we provide a list of private lenders that Stern students have borrowed from in the past 3 to 5 years. You can locate this page on our website by simply clicking on the private loan link that you see on the screen right now. And you can also locate that through the handout that Corey sent out this morning. Corey will now discuss the awarding process.
Thanks, Felicia. So when something like a loan or scholarship is first posted to your financial aid account, this will trigger an automatic award notice email that is sent from the NYU Central Office of Financial Aid. Our office will also send you a follow-up award notice email with more detailed instructions and next steps. If you submitted the 2020-2021 FAFSA, our office will automatically set up Spring 21 federal loans for you, and you can expect to receive an award notice with next steps from us within the next week if you haven't already. If you haven't already submitted the FAFSA, you can still go ahead and submit it since we'll be setting up loans on a rolling basis as we receive FAFSAs. Please keep in mind that it takes about 3 to 5 days for the FAFSA to process into our system. So with the deadline approaching, if you haven't submitted the FAFSA and are planning on using federal loans, we definitely recommend you do that as soon as possible. If you have private loans, our office will certify the loan with your lender and also an NYU Albert, and you'll then receive an award notice email from the NYU office, Central Office of Financial Aid. You don't need to take any additional steps in order to get that loan approved on our side, but you will want to check with your lender to make sure that you've completed all the documents with them. Everyone who gets an award notice email will be prompted to log into Albert using your NYU NetID and password. After you log in, you'll see a page that looks like this. Following the prompts on the screen will take you to your financial aid award package, which will include items like your loans, scholarships, or any outside aid. For federal student loan borrowers, from here you can view your federal loan package and accept, reduce, or decline the loans. For private loan borrowers, you can view your certified private loan here. You don't need to take any further action. For federal student loan borrowers, this is what a typical award package will look like. Our office will set up the unsubsidized loan from here, and you can determine if you would like to accept, reduce, or decline the loan. It's really up to you how much you want to borrow. You may also decide that you don't want to borrow any loans at all in the spring, but you may want to in the summer. If that's the case, you can just go ahead and decline these spring loans. And because you have that FAFSA in the system, you'll automatically be set up with loans again for the summer. If you are borrowing a spring private loan, you will see that loan in the amount certified in Albert. Remember, you will want to reapply for your summer private loan in June, since the fall spring loan period is separate from the summer. So what that means is that you can have your spring loan certified, but it can't be a single loan for spring and summer. Summer will always have to be a separate loan application. If you accept federal loans in Albert, there is a list of documents you need to complete to secure them. You'll want to head over to the federal student aid site called studentloans.gov and log in using your FSA ID, which is the same ID that you use when completing the FAFSA. If you are planning to borrow both the unsubsidized and plus loan, you'll need to do three things. Sign an unsubsidized loan master promissory note, sign the graduate plus loan master promissory note, and complete an entrance counseling. All these items are done online. You only need to complete these once, and they are valid for 10 years. The only exception to that would be if you need to have a co-signer for your Grad Plus loan, then you do have to do the MPN each time you borrow. If you're planning to borrow a private student loan, you do not need to complete any of these steps. Just be sure to consult with your lender on any documents that they may require. Now we're going to run through two common loan scenarios our office often receives questions about. Students will often ask, what if I accept the maximum in federal loans now, and then later decide as the semester progresses that I do not need the full amount or want to cancel the loan entirely? You can return federal loan funds via the school within 120 days of loan disbursement. This payment is considered a return on the principal, and no interest or origination fees are charged. You can do this every semester each time you have a loan disbursement. You can also reduce a portion of the loan and not cancel it entirely. If you just reduced a portion, then that portion's fee and interest will be canceled. The second scenario would be opposite from the first. Let's say you reduced your federal loans too much, and mid-semester you realize you would like us to reinstate all or a portion of them. You can do so by emailing our office with your request. Just make sure to do this before the semester has ended. Student loans essentially act as a credit until the funds disperse to the Stern bursar each semester. Because they act as a credit, you aren't required to pay that portion of your balance in advance. You just need to include your approved loans or we'll make sure that the EMBA office knows how you plan on paying. The first disbursement date for federal loans is typically 10 days prior to the first day of class. You can review your individual class schedule to determine the date of your first spring class, which your disbursement will be based on. The Bursar spring payment deadline is December 1st, so you'll want to make sure you have your financial aid finalized before this date. And again, just as a reminder, the loan will not be dispersing by that date, but it will be acting as a credit on your account as long as you've accepted loans and completed all of those required documents at studentaid.gov.
Thanks, Corey. So we're going to transition away from loans now and discuss other forms of aid such as scholarships and company sponsorships or reimbursements. All scholarships are merit-based and are determined at the time of admission by the EMBA admissions team. In regards to external opportunities, our website has a scholarship database which is a list comprised of opportunities offered by organizations who have funds that they would like to offer to our STEM students. We post the scholarship information on our website, including the application link, qualifications, required application materials, and the deadline. This page on our website is updated on a rolling basis, so please be sure to check it at least once every 3 to 4 weeks to see if something new has populated or to even see if a deadline has been extended. We also have our scholarship tools page, which displays a list of search engines that may help you find other sources of funding. So please feel free to explore to see any additional opportunities you could qualify. A company sponsorship is a direct payment by an employer to the university on the student's behalf and is counted as part of financial aid. In this case, the student will not need to make an out-of-pocket payment for the sponsorship amount, and this will roll into NYU Albert once payment is received. The Bursar's office processes the company sponsorship each semester it's received. Company reimbursement is different from company sponsorship. So with company reimbursement, it's basically a transaction between the student and their employer and does not involve the university. In this case, the student will need to make some sort of payment by each of his or her payment deadlines while awaiting the reimbursement from their employer. Typically, companies will pay out tuition reimbursement directly to their employee at the end of the semester once they have the student's grades. Any funds that you pay out of pocket will be refunded to you by the bursar's office once we receive that once you receive that company reimbursement. So this concludes today's webinar. We hope that you guys found this helpful, and our office will be sending out a short survey and we would love your feedback. Corey, did we receive any questions?
Yes, we did receive a question asking if the information is automatically transferred to NYU office once we complete it. I believe this is in reference to the loan documents. So yes, so as long as you're logged into your FSA account, it will link automatically to your account and your loans and will be notified once that's completed. And for the FAFSA, you'll just want to make sure that you include the NYU school code, which you can find on the handout, and you can also just search NYU. If you want to write it down now, it's 002785, but again, that is going to be on the handout that we submitted. We did get an email saying that they submitted their FAFSA during the last week of October, but still haven't heard back. So if this is the case, you would want to just send us an email so that we can look into see what the issue is. Just make sure that you completed the 2020-2021 FAFSA and not the 21-22 FAFSA. As a reminder, the 21-22 will be used starting in the next academic year, but for your first 2 payment deadlines, we'll be using the 2020-2021. If you do think you completed that, then please email us and we can take a look to see what the issue might be.
Also, if you think that you've completed the 2021 FAFSA, I would also check your to-do list to see if there's anything else you need to do in order to be packaged. For instance, you may have a FAFSA requirement, so I would just check your to-do list to see if you do.
And you can find that to-do list in just by logging into NYU Albert. You'll see it like right on the right side.
Okay, do we have any more?
No more questions yet. Feel free to keep using the chat box, the Q&A feature here. Thank you.
Okay, so if no one has any other questions, I do want to mention that we do have workshops throughout the year, such as lunch and learns, loan repayment, and one-on-one repayment sessions once you're nearing graduation. If you happen to come up with any other questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to email us at the address that you see on the screen currently. And if that is all, thank you for your time and have a great day and great weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Does not look like we have any more questions coming in. If you do have anything that pops up later, again, feel free to write us at fin-8@stern.nyu.edu, and we'd be happy to help. Thank you so much again for joining us today, and thank you, Felicia, for hosting the webinar with me.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.